Tigers tame the Sharks, and it's a return to my youth as Bath and Leicester will compete to be England's top club. Hello amateurs, welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. And before we kick this one off, this battle between Leicester and Sale, let's talk about the kit. Sale definitely won that. That Sharks shirt, the dark blue, is absolutely beautiful, whereas the Tigers, it's not that great, is it? It's a bit of an abomination. I'd love to know what people like Dean Richards think of that kit. Anyway, let's get into the game. Sale started pretty well, actually, but Tigers were stealing some lineouts, and that would become a bit of a theme of the game. The Sale lineout was an issue for sure. Pollard kicked things off, though, after 8 minutes, 3-0 to Leicester, but Sale were getting the better of the breakdown at times at this point of the game. There were lots of aerial battles, both teams playing a kind of traditional game with the weather also playing a factor. It was a little bit wet, it was a little bit greasy, and I was trying to sum all that up in my head, and then Sam Warburton on commentary said it exactly in 3 words when he said it's got a test match feel to this game, and that was exactly it. It was real percentage play by both teams, no quarter arse, none given, the forward packs going absolutely at it, and yeah, test match feel, that really summed it up. Leicester got a nudge at the scrum, which I didn't expect. I thought Sale might have the edge, but Leicester definitely had a nudge at times. But they conceded a penalty at the next one. That was kicked for 3-3. But from that kickoff, and this kind of summed up the first half for me, Jean-Luc Deprez caught the kickoff, ran forward and got absolutely melted by Henderson, which led to a turnover. And it's those kind of moments that can really change a game. But that, because I think this Leicester forward pack dominated the first half. In a game like this, where it's fine percentages, obviously, I thought they dominated Sale, really. And it hits like that by Henderson on Sale's big ball carrier Deprez really summed that up. There was a big Tiger scrum shortly afterwards, playing penalty advantage. And that led back down the blind side to Radwan in acres of space, it seemed, to step inside 3 Sale players who all thought they had to corner flag because he had that much space, and he was in. That was 8-3. It was Cowan Dickey, Quirk, and his opposite number Reed who were all chasing across and ended up in a line, Indian file, up the pitch, and Radwan, one sidestep, got all 3 of them. However, that seemed to spark Sale into life a little bit, and Ben Curry went clean through up the middle, but he offloaded to no one. And this was a little bit of a theme of the first half as well. When Sale did get good positions, they weren't able to build pressure because they gave the ball away too cheaply or lost the line out or whatever. They never really built any pressure in this first half. And Tigers, by the way, were really important in that because they were working incredibly hard in defence, getting up, trying to put that pressure on the first receiver. They won a scrum penalty shortly afterwards. This felt like a little bit of a 50-51, maybe evening things up from before. Liebenberg went marauding up the middle. It was a kind of a clean break when he got the ball going backwards. It was all a little bit strange, but that can happen sometimes. It led to really good possession. And again, Radwan was miles of space on the outside. Pollard saw it, went to cross kick, but absolutely shanked it. Really sort of flat, hit it too flat and hard. Radwan was also probably starting a little bit too deep, but man, as soon as that ball was in the air, Radwan was gone onto it, and super Radwan man dived, caught the ball in the air and landed over the try line for 13-3. Unbelievable score. Absolutely, all the tension that had been building up in this game seemed to explode in that moment, and the shackles almost came off a little bit. But importantly, Pollard missed that conversion as well. He missed the previous one too. 2 missed kicks from Andre Pollard, both of which, not gimmies by any means, but you'd expect him to get them. Sale line-out was an issue. They got a good position up the right-hand side, and it was overthrown or underjumped, if we don't want to blame the hooker every time. Again, can't turn opportunities into sustained pressure and therefore points. A real issue for Sale in that first half. Andre Pollard got an amazing 50-22, and the kick was amazing, but his appreciation of where the space would be was even better because Carpenter got tempted forward by the previous kick. He thought he might have to go and get it. As it was, I think Roebuck got up, who was excellent in the air today. Roebuck had a very solid game. Carpenter then didn't have enough time because Pollard was so quick on it. He got that ball in his hands. He was almost running backwards to give himself the time and the space to kick it. 50-22, absolutely banging from Andre Pollard. Quality. Again, another symptom of Sale's line-out issues came in the 40th minute. They were all marked up through the middle, so Luke Kanduki took the check-out option to the front to Bevan Rodd, and that just meant that they couldn't really get a launch going at all. They got forced into sort of doing short pick and goes from the forwards, just one out play, and Tigers were all over that defensively, which led to a turnover penalty from Montoya, who won player of the match and was outstanding all day. Amazing to see his family and especially his dad dancing at the end. Spoiler alert, Leicester won in case you don't know. And Leicester, that was a turnover penalty in Leicester territory. That would have been time up. They could have gone in 13-3 up, but they figured they're on top at the moment, and they were. And I've been thinking for the previous 10 minutes, 10 points isn't enough for the dominance that they've had up to this point. So they kicked to the corner and they really went for it. Driving maul, driving up the line. They got a penalty and a yellow card warning to Sale as well. So it's a big moment in the game. But fair play to Sale. They muscled up and held them out before half time in a 45-minute half, which was amazing. That must have been a big fillip for them going into the second half. Half-time thoughts. Tigers were absolutely on it. They were fizzing. They were physical. They won the physicality of this for sure. But only 10 points. Again, could that last phase before half-time end up being crucial? Any score there, I think. Just an extra 3 or, obviously a trial conversion would have been ideal. But even an extra 3 just to score right on the brink of half-time is psychologically damaging. For Sale, they need to sort that line out. They absolutely need to sort that line out. Discipline as well. Of course, they've been defending a lot, so that's harder to stay disciplined. But they're giving away too many penalties. Stop giving the ball away cheaply in good positions. And they also need to ratchet up that physicality because the Tigers have definitely won that in the first half. Solomon Akata versus George Ford or Rafi Quirk is no contest. And Kata had a bit of a field day in that first half, giving Tigers incredible front foot ball. Interestingly, there was a bit of rain at half-time. And when I say a bit, apparently quite a lot, because the ball looked like a bar of soap when it came out in the second half. And any thoughts that this might immediately turn into a running game were dispelled, and the test match feel completely continued. The previous night, Bristol gave Bath a way back into the game, but today it was Quirk who absolutely gave Leicester the impetus right at the start of the second half as he kicked the ball out on the full. It was just one of those moments where you're like, come on, let's just get a good start to the second half if we can score first. And yeah, it was a problem. But the Sale scrum was winning penalties at times, and they got a penalty advantage, got Reid going all the way up the left-hand side. Radwan just got caught looking in for a second, and Reid was gone. Quirk into that ruck and tried to do the kind of kick-on-kick thing. He knew the winger had come up. Radwan was involved in that ruck. He'd made the tackle, I think. And he tried to kick over to where the space was. Only Woodward, for Leicester, had recognised that himself. And I think when Quirk picked the ball up at the ruck, Woodward was actually stood next to the ruck. So he did incredibly well to get back and mark what looked like a very tame box kick. I thought it was possibly the right idea, but Woodward did a great job of covering it. Rafi Quirk continued being the absolute main man of this second half, both good and bad, when he went flying up the middle. Classic Rafi Quirk, that's what we sort of know and love from him coming through as a young player, which led to a penalty for Sale and 13-6, and now they're right back in this game. Just one score, and it all became very, very tense. The drop balls going on all over the place, and the scrum was getting ever more important. And it was now that Leicester definitely had the edge. Sale had won a few penalties, as I said, but Leicester had 2. But now Nicky Smith was absolutely getting the beating of Asher Apoku for sure. They won a penalty at the scrum, 50 minutes, but Pollard missed. That's 3 misses now, and still within a score. So big moments that. Apoku Fajor went off shortly afterwards to be replaced by Will Griff-John. Rafi Quirk went off for Gus Waugh, and both of those substitutions had a massive impact. Gus Waugh just technically the better scrum half, just slightly more efficient, not game-breaking like Quirk, but that's not what Sale needed. They needed a facilitator at this point of the game. Tommy Reffell won a turnover penalty only 2 minutes after the last miss from Pollard. Right, so he got another opportunity in almost the same spot, whacked it over for 16-6. I think if you're a kicker, that's exactly what you want. You want another opportunity as soon as you can to just get that scoreboard ticking over. and get that previous one out of your mind. Sale lose another line out. Again in a good position. But they got a penalty straight away because I think Leicester slapped it back onto the floor. They kicked to the corner. And this was a massive moment. Still 25 minutes to go. This penalty was kickable. It would have kicking that penalty would have got them back within a score. But they decided to go for the try. I think at this point, they decided they're only going to get so many more opportunities. They need to score 10 plus points to be in this game. And they decided that kicking penalties was not going to be the way to do it at that time. So a massive moment, and it felt like it. They went for the line out penalty, the line out drive. They drove, got the ball going forward, but the maul collapsed, and then they just went drive after drive after drive. And when they tried to move it for Ford, it went through Ford's hands, and that looked like a big chance because there are players on the outside. Would they get another one? Fortunately, they did have the penalty advantage, so they went to the corner again. Again, a drive which was defended brilliantly by Leicester. But just when it looked like Sale were going to go and pick and go, which is what they do a lot, both Currys got their hands on the ball. Both of them pulled the ball back out of the play. Only 5 metres from Tigers' line as well, by the way. And they're going to be bringing massive line speed. And that led to Ford putting Rob Dupree in under the posts, as Pollard came in and absolutely clattered the post himself. 16-13, and now it's absolutely game on. And interestingly, the commentators mentioned at that point that Rob Dupree has played in every single minute of the Premiership this season. Completed it, mate. Just do everything. What a player in the team of the season as well. Fair play to him. He had some really big moments in this game. However, the scrum. So we're back to within 3 points. Super tense again, and now it's all about field position. For these next 10 minutes or so, it's all about not giving field position away, because field position leads to points. So that's all the teams were doing. Wilgriff John on at tight head massively improved the Sale scrum. I mean, he took it to Nicky Smith, teammates for Wales, and he definitely got the upper hand there, and it changed the game. There was a massive Ben Curry shot on Andre Pollard just after he passed the ball. It had Courtney Laws versus Jules Plisson vibes about it. And actually, it caused Pollard to go off for a HIA, which he would pass and come back on. The Sale scrum was massively on top. They won a penalty from that, kicked for 16 all, 15 minutes to go. And again, it's absolutely game on. Could Sale turn this game? They've scored the last 10 points now. Could they keep pressing? But Parisse, the Australian, on in the centres as a sub, scored almost immediately. I'm pretty sure it was with his first touch. And that pressure that Sale had built out was suddenly completely released. Ben Vola was on for Pollard, and Parisse did a brilliant out to in line, came through a hole. Rob Dupree just got ahead of the ball, so he couldn't see Parisse coming. Defensive error from him, but my God, Parisse got through that hole and scored as Ben Curry pulled his hamstring behind him. Just a little tweak, to be fair. Not a massive pull, I don't think. But 21-16 now to Tigers. But importantly, again, another missed kick. I think that's now 10 points, I think, missed. This game would have been done at that point if all those kicks had gone over. So Ben Curry went off with that hamstring tweak shortly after. But my God, he's looking absolutely enormous. No wonder he's pulling hamstrings with quads that size. But Sale were looking dangerous. Sale were really looking dangerous because the sun had come out, it dried up. You saw all the coaches on the sideline, jackets off, they're getting their suntan on. And Jean-Luc Dupree got put away up the right-hand side, and he almost stepped Freddie Stewart, but Stewart just got enough on him to bring him down. 74 minutes, Sale driving ominously towards the line, but Ilioni on for Leicester Tigers won the turnover. He has been an unbelievable player off the bench for Tigers this year. He always makes an impact. And that looked like it might be over. Tigers got the ball back from there and just managed to maintain possession and territory deep in the Sale half. It looked like they were going to set up for a drop goal, but then Ollie Chesham made a break out of nowhere. It was almost like everybody kind of just relaxed and just thought, oh, Pollard's going to kick in a second. And Chesham just kept the leg driving and got through, which created an even better position for Pollard for the drop goal, straight in front, on the 22, all the time in the world, and he spooned it wide. unbelievable. It looked like, well, it's hard to say that whether that was going to make a difference, but obviously being 8 points up with 2 minutes to go would have been a much better position than 5 points up. However, Tigers got the ball back absolutely straight away. Pollard kicked it high in the air and Freddie Stewart went up like a goalkeeper, as he did on several occasions on the day, to take the ball high above his head. And it looked like Leicester were going to try and do the old 2-minute drill, just pick and go, short play to the forwards and try and run the clock out. And the commentators seemed surprised that they were trying to do that. But deep in Sale territory, it seemed to be the right choice for me. But they won a turnover. Sale got in, won the turnover and kicked deep. Just one last chance. And Sale attacked really hard, but I don't think they got their starter play particularly right. I think it was Carpenter, just looked like he was far too narrowed. And whereas if he was a little bit wider and hitting onto the ball, it might have got cut off the corner. And then after that, Sale lost all shape in attack, really. And they carried hard, they tried, but for, you know, the game went on here 2-3 minutes maybe, and Sale really struggled to find any kind of shape at all. And as such, they were kind of ineffective in their carries. They were easier to defend against, and it looked like Leicester were just going to sort of defend them out here. However, Luke Cowan-Dickie got put away up the left-hand side. I can't remember exactly how. He did the correct thing, stepped in off the touchline and got his nose about an inch off the ground, as he normally does when he carries the ball, to be met by Freddie Stewart, who somehow got his shoulders down to match him. Cowan-Dickie knocked the ball on, or it got knocked out of his hands more accurately by Stewart's head. And it looked like Cowan-Dickie actually maybe was a little bit concussed from that as well. He was sort of laid out on the floor for a little while. Matt Carley, the referee, immediately called it a knock-on, and then they had a good old chat about whether Stewart had actually made a legal attempt to tackle. Great that they did their checks and balances, I think, at this point in the game. Can you imagine the pressure they were under? And it would have been so easy probably to come up with a quick decision and just call it game over. But they went and checked the TMO, they looked at it, checked it several angles and just made sure that Stewart did indeed get his left arm up to try and attempt a legal tackle, which he did. So even though there was head contact, it's not foul play, and therefore the knock-on stood. Game over, and Leicester Tigers get to go to Twickenham next year. One more week for Dan Cole, one more week for Ben Youngs, and yeah, like I said, it's back to my youth when Leicester and Bath are challenging to be the top club in England. Heck of a game, very different to the Bath-Bristol game on the Friday night, but this one got more and more engaging, more and more compelling as it went on. Plenty of drama, some cracking tries, some brilliant bits of skill, but yeah, a real kind of old school test match feel to it as well. I loved it. All right, that's what I think, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Any moments that you think were really crucial that I didn't pick up on? Any players that you thought played really well that I didn't mention either? Let me know. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there. It helps other great rugby fans just like you find it, and you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next, and don't forget to get out and play.